The immigrant tethers have to be separated. We must separate ourselves from the immigrant population. The Hispanics, the Africans, the Caribbeans, Indians, Arabs, because they have no respect for the black people and they're coming to steal what is rightfully ours. The Africans want to come here and colonize the black community and breeding with black women. And the Mexicans want to just wipe the black people out. They take advantage of the housing disaster, foreclosures, moving your community by the thousands, push you out your community because they're seen as a so-called minority. And because they're seen as a minority, they get to qualify for all of the resources, all of the benefits that Dr. Martin Luther King, Coretta Scott King, the Nation of Islam, Rosa Parks, and the whole entire civil rights movement struggled for. We struggled for equality, inclusion, and protection from annihilation. These things never happen. Black people are still murdered by the thousands every year. We're actually worse off because we're aborted. Our children are aborted by the millions. And we're not getting any of the money because the immigrants come in and take all of the resources allocated to the black people. And most black people don't even know that there's resources available, not allocated, because so-called black people are seen just as a minority mixed in with all other so-called minorities in the world who comes here. We're not specific. We're not seen as an individual people. The only government that I know of that included black people as an individual people was Trump's government, when he said the black people can get $20 billion of the PPP loan. He allocated $20 billion of the PPP loan money specifically to black businesses. All the other politicians, Obama, Biden, they said minority, people of color, first come, first serve. But these tethers, these ungrateful, freeloading peasant tethers who come here and benefit off of the black people's struggle, stealing food off of our table. Black America is literally waiting on crumbs to fall from our own table. The table is full of foreigners, immigrants eating all of the resources, and we're waiting for their scraps. They don't even let scraps fall. They don't even let crumbs fall off the table, so we're starving in our own house. We gotta separate from these immigrants immediately. If you make a survey of the average black American person and let them get the awareness of what's actually happening, all of the resources and money is going to immigrants who had nothing to do with our struggle, I would say 90% will vote to amend the Civil Rights Act to exclude immigrants. If that don't work, abolish the Civil Rights Act. And let's go back to segregation and see how far they'll survive. Pre-1964, when they weren't allowed in this country. Africans weren't allowed in this country before 1964. Let's abolish the Civil Rights Act or amend it to exclude them, because there's nothing wrong with them coming to this country. But the problem is they come to this country with an aim to steal resources from the black American people. And they don't even have nothing available as far as reciprocity in their country. There's no cultural exchange, resource exchange, nothing. They have nothing to offer the black people in America. They just come to take what's yours. And we're just so generous and allows that. There's nowhere in the world that we have to go specifically for us. Probably Russia. Probably. There's nowhere in the world. There's no exchange in the world. There's no exchange. There's no fair trading. They're coming to take everything that's ours. And then they disrespect like these tethers on Fresh and Fit. First they disrespect talking about they don't like black women. Then they saying black Americans are lazy because their father came here as an immigrant and succeeded. But you don't say, did he succeed on his own? Or did he get a minority quota, a minority set aside? Did he get his resources and his position because he was black? And because he's black in his country, it wasn't nothing. Because he didn't fight for nothing in his country. The people in America, the black Americans, fought for inclusion. And because you have the same skin color, you get to come here and masquerade as one of us and benefit. And then you don't even say thank you. You have nothing to offer. You don't even give anything back. Africans come here and benefit from Black American struggle and position. Actually, they're taking our positions. You know, Asians taking the positions, and then you don't even appreciate that. I'm pretty sure, you know, I know white America is the reason behind this. They put you in this position just to weaken us. But Black people, we have our own colleges though. We've been surviving without welfare for hundreds of years. You the ones who benefit off of these minority benefits, these resources. You're the ones been living off of it for the last 40 years. But I will say this, it's time to actually create a movement to end affirmative action, to end all the minority programs, because it is not benefiting the Black American people. We need to revert back to 1954 when it was legal segregation, and let it happen. And this time we're gonna have to fight this war. But we can't deal with these so-called allies, because you can't deal with the enemy outside without first dealing with the enemy within, the one standing next to you, sabotaging you. You got a clean house. All these fake so-called allies, whose allies just to get this resource, people of color just to get money. If there was no money involved, they'll be in their own country somewhere, crawling under a bridge, because they pretend to be your ally or in word, but not in deed. And then they disrespect you after got their whole family in positions of power and wealth off of us. They disrespect you. They disrespect us. The vitriol. But let us end affirmative action, because it doesn't benefit me at all. Let us end the minority set-asides and benefits. Let us end all of that. And that'll weaken our so-called allies, our enemy within, and then you'll be more able to focus on the true enemy, so-called white supremacy. But these so-called tethers, these immigrants who's stealing all of the resources from us, they're the worst enemy. They have to be exposed and weakened. And hold on, they have to be exposed and weakened. And in order for us to move forward in this world, in order for us to have any type of success, you have to get rid of the thing in your front yard. You have to clean up first of all, you got to get your own body and health straight. And then your immediate proximity, before you can go outside. You got to get everything straight. And the Black people are really in a weak position because of these immigrants. Primarily because of these immigrants. And I think the Blacks should abandon Democrats. And I think as a protest should go back to the Republican Party, because that was the first political party that Black people was part of. And when they was in the Republican Party, that's where most of our wealth and success derived. Since Blacks became Democrats, I would say 60 years ago, nothing to show for it. Nothing. Biden gave you nothing. They provided nothing, yet you're loyal to them. I would say the only way I see the Civil Rights Act being abolished or amended is under a Republican president who will sign it, because Biden won't sign something like that. And the Black caucus, we gotta vote all of the Black Democrats out of power. Because politics is people always say forget politics, but why do you vote 90% Democrat if it doesn't mean anything? So politics is a tool, and a lot of people follow these YouTube people. I'm not gonna mention any names, but they're very good when it comes to eloquence. They're very funny, charismatic, but they don't have any vision. All they talk about is white supremacy, but you're not talking about what can you do, what is in your power and your reach of change. I'm saying that the so-called Black people, we need to actually lobby the so-called government towards this issue of affirmative action and minority benefits, the Civil Rights Act, and get that bill. One of us need to write the bill. I could write the bill, and that bill needs to be voted on and it needs to become a law. Either change or repeal the Civil Rights Act, and to eliminate these parasite tethers from exploiting the Black community.